that I am here to respond. I'm here to wait to respond. And when I wait to respond, the feeling that I get is satisfaction. So one of the reasons why I love Q&A is because I'm always super satisfied when I'm here, because all I have to do is show up and answer y'all's questions. So these questions are, I put up a question sticker on my Instagram, and then I record it and I put it, the people on Instagram get to ask you the questions, but then they have to either come over to TikTok or to my YouTube channel to get the answers. So I used to do this in podcast form, but honestly, it was just like one extra step. I had a podcast for a long time called Exactly How with Everest Asher. And if you guys are like, what's Everest Asher? That was my first career. So you've heard me talk about the 3 levels of spiritual teachings: the exoteric, the mesoteric, and the esoteric. I taught in the exoteric for a long time because there's no skipping the line. And in that career, my name was Everest Asher. So I very much wanted to have like a single name, and I had the name Onami had come to me when I first started studying Zen, but I just like wasn't ready to fully submit to being weird. And so I wanted something that was a little bit more standard. And the reason why I didn't use my birth name is because I have 10 brothers and sisters, and my one brother made a documentary about the cult that we grew up in, and that was really hard on my family. And my family had this like unspoken rule that we were just not allowed to talk about our childhood, because when you say, I grew up in a cult, it's also kind of outing that your brothers and sisters grew up in a cult too, and they were all like really afraid of that. So I was told, you're not allowed to tell your story, but I had to. Like, I just knew that I would never heal if I didn't share some of these things. So I changed my name when I first started my career. That was in, I think, 2016 was when I decided to really change it. And then I changed it again. But the name Onami means great wave. And I received this when I started initiating into the mesoteric teachings, which took me a really long time. I did an objective path to enlightenment because I was like, okay, I just want to be there. I just want to be there and be like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So after a lot of research, I came, and there is an objective path to enlightenment. Like, if you want to be awakened at the first level and activate something called deputy steward and something else called reason and something else called master, you can do this, but it'll only happen in your mind. So like what this level of enlightenment is, because enlightenment is activating the higher mental and higher emotional centers. Now, you can activate the higher mental center for sure, but the higher emotional center should change everything about the way that you're behaving. And so the mental aspect of it, I knew the answers. It was like, I either know or I don't know, but there wasn't as much of just like clanking those two together, trying to figure out what the answer is. It was like, there's things that I know and things that I don't know. And a lot of the talking in my mind ceased. And that's what that first level is all about. But I hadn't changed my behavior, because my behavior and who I was a string of habits. It was a personality, like a talking head. And so even though I knew on an intellectual level that like I needed to be kind to everybody, my personality, which had been rehearsed for decades and decades and decades, still had these habits, right? Like, I still wanted to be nasty to people sometimes. I was using black magic as self-defense a lot still. I hadn't surrendered that power in that way. And, if you're like, black magic, all magic is magic. It's how you use it that matters. But black magic, white magic, red magic, these are all the first 3 wands. And then to learn sex magic, you have to understand all of them, and then you surrender them. But if you're like, why would you use black magic? If you're a witch, dude, and you're always getting accused of being a witch, and you get yourselves in those shitty witch situations like sexual assault or people accusing you of things that you didn't do, the sacred whore incarnation is particularly gruesome, and that's what I've incarnated into, to teach sacred sexuality as well as witchcraft. But basically, on this path, a lot of sexual misfortunes will happen to you, and people will tell you it's your fault because you're a witch. And so black magic as a defense against that is always really tempting, because it feels so good when people have bulldozed you to be like, you know what, I'm going to make you afraid of me. And dude, with black magic, you make people so afraid of you. I swear to God, the people that are are attacking you the strongest, you can have them begging on their hands and knees with just a couple of words, but ultimately that doesn't really work out so well. So that was another aspect of my behavior that hadn't changed. When you change your front of house without changing your back of house, whether it's a gender thing or a name thing, or you're trying to become a greater person, to change your presentation without changing your being, it's just rearranging your personality. There's no change that's actually taking place. You're just like renaming your bio. And in order to ascend, it's got to be a total thing. First of all, you have to really, 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 really want to be transformed. And you don't get to the state of really wanting to be transformed by really loving the person that you are now. And it's this paradox, because people in that first level of spiritual teachings are going to say, oh, don't be hard on yourself. You have to love yourself. And it's like, yeah, that's 50% true. But to really ascend, you have to become kind of disgusted by the person you've become. And instead of just thinking that you're so great and really, really, really want to change and really, really want to be transformed. And the lineage that I teach, the mesoteric. So I teach many different second level teachings. The term for this is a sage. It's somebody who experienced a high level of intentional suffering as well as regular suffering. And when somebody experiences a high level of suffering, regular suffering of life, as well as intentional suffering, putting yourself through the ringer to ascend, being hard on yourself, this person is called, and it changes your being, it changes how you treat the world. That person is called a saint. Now, if you take a saint, somebody who experienced a higher than normal gradation of suffering, and then awakened by all manner of objective means. So meaning so a saint could be a Catholic saint, right? They follow the Franciscan path. They awaken in this way, and then they teach others from this lineage, for example, Catholicism or Hinduism or whatever. That person is a saint in that lineage. But if a saint then goes and studies all the different objective ways to waking up, all the different paths, that person is called a sage. And somebody who just has a lot of and who has studied, if we take a sage minus the saint, so somebody who has studied all the objective ways to awakening, but hasn't experienced the higher than average gradation of suffering, this person is called learned is the term. So I definitely tried to, it felt really good to be bopped on the head and get my graduation, be like, that's it, you're enlightened. But then I was walking around being like, hey, I'm enlightened, everybody listen to me. And I was actually just being like a dickhead. Total humility was going to be required, becoming as a little child again, and really changing the way that I view the world. I have in my human design, and there's some questions about human design today, so we'll get into that. But in my human design, I have the propensity to be very condemning of the world. When I'm in my not self, to be like, fuck you guys if you don't want to work as hard as it takes to awaken. I can be very pissed at the world for not doing what I think it needs to do. And a big part of my journey, and when I'm living and when I'm in myself, when I'm doing things correctly, I have boundless compassion and love for the world, because I really understand what it's like to be at these different levels. This did not come, I wasn't born awakened. I wasn't born, I'm hard-headed. It's basically if I can awaken, anybody can do it, because I am hard-headed. I am stubborn. I have to do it every wrong way first. I do not want to listen. I did not trust the universe. I have a cynical mind. I have a doubting mind. I don't play well with other people. I am not a good, it's like a fucking broken, a shitty piece of pottery, it's you got to put it all the way down and got to make it mash again before it can be, anything useful can be created of it. But if I can do it, you can definitely do it. And I've been so many different people in my life. And what I'm really here to share with the world is in any moment, you can change. You can change. It doesn't matter who you've been every day up until now. It doesn't matter who you were 5 minutes ago. Doesn't matter. You can fucking change it up, baby. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a Capricorn. I'm a full-on Capricorn, and a 3 on the Enneagram. So just type A psychotic personality. But you can change it up. It doesn't matter who you were yesterday. You're this person now. And on top of that, you can decide who it is that you want to be. Who it is that you want to be. And you can become this person now. And there are going to be so many people in your life that are like, no, you can't change. I know who you are. And like, these are not your people. These are just not your people. I love the way the Japanese use gold to fix pottery, and we do the same with ourselves. Yes, that's called kintsugi. And it's a beautiful metaphor for life, that something is more beautiful because it's broken. Actually, the Zen monks, they never, like, let's say they need new tea bowls. They always break them and put them back together first, or try, things that are like stock beautiful are not valued in this, wabi-sabi lifestyle, because we're all unique and we're different, and it becomes, the vessel becomes more precious when it's not the same. And this is a really good thing to observe in like the mental health industry, because if you aren't very clear, they're like, okay, we want to medicate you or therapy you or whatever to get you back to normal, but like normal being that perfect bowl. So like, who is normal? Like, could they give you an example of a normal person and say, okay, we're going to try and make you more like this person? What is this like avatar of what normal is, and how do you know when you're there, and do you even want to be there? Like, who's the most normal person you know? Do you want to be like this person? Because if not, then you shouldn't fucking be in that chair. And you are here to be different than everybody else. You are not here to be more like other people. And anything that anybody else is doing is irrelevant to your mission. It's not that it's good or bad. It's just like, they were not born in the same conditions as you. They didn't incarnate with the same destiny as you. Like, it literally doesn't matter what they're doing. What they're doing today is a cumulative result of like all of their life experiences. You can't be like that person today because you don't have the same history as that person, the same parents, the same formative years, the same soul, the same destiny. So like, it just literally doesn't matter what anybody else is doing. Like, great for inspiration, but it should not influence what you're doing at all. And I have a book called Fuckless, which I conveniently have here right now, because I asked my Instagram following what they wanted me to teach on next. And it was either teach on trauma again, because here on TikTok, you guys are pretty interested in that, pretty new to this conversation. I've been teaching a teacher training on trauma as it relates to the chakras, which was like a start and end to healing trauma, because it's really easy to get stuck in it like forever. But it was by a long shot ready to hear about authenticity again. So I do have an objective path to authenticity. Means that you're going to be authentic like you when you're done studying it, and not authentic like me. And this is the big risk with people teaching authenticity, is they're like, let me teach you how to be more like me, and that'll make you authentic. Like, no, that's not it. There has to be an objective way. And you guys know that I've devoted my whole life, and at least the palm of my left hand, to studying objective methods, because it wasn't enough for me to just share my story and hope that people got results. It's like, I need to know. I have to know. I have the mind of an inventor. So it's like, it's either right or it's wrong. It's either right or it's wrong. And people say, oh, don't be hard on yourself. And I was just telling this to my client the other day, because I was like I was critiquing the 3 months of data that we had so far of working together, and being like, this could be improved on my end, not on her end. And she's like, oh God, stop being so hard on yourself. And I was like, people have told me this my whole life, but like, I'm like an inventor. So if I say I'm going to invent a light bulb, and while inventing a light bulb, I came up with like a really good fucking hot dog roasting Ferris wheel, that's great. And people are like, oh, this hot dog roasting Ferris wheel is great. I literally don't care how great that is, because I intended to make a light bulb. So I don't fucking care about these side things that have worked out. I don't care that like, you can't make a wrong turn. I'm here to invent the light bulb. And if it doesn't fucking work, then it doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, I sure as shit, I will have, I have a list of everything that doesn't work so that I don't repeat it. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just me being hard on myself. It's like, that's fine. I don't care how many mistakes I make because I will get it perfect. I absolutely will. But I do not want to have to repeat the same mistakes over and over again if I can eliminate them every time. I don't mind making a mistake as long as I learn from it. And I'm like very adamant about learning from my mistakes because I make so many of them. My human design, I'm a 6-3 generator. I'm a 6-3 generator, which is the most mutative force. So like I am literally the energy of chaos. I'm the energy of change. And the fact that you guys see me as being a relatively calm person that knows what they're going and has been able to like create. I made $1 million in my first business with hardly any advertising at all. Like, I mean, like less than 10 grand worth of advertising over the course of 5 years, just all by myself at nap time, one part-time assistant, my ability to organize chaos. That's really been my life's work because I'm a very chaotic person and I love it. I don't smoke weed anymore, but like when I did, oh my God, the chaos. My favorite thing to do is wake up, and the last thing I want to do in the morning is wake up and be calm and meditate. What I love to do is wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm like fucked up from not sleeping, drink some coffee, hit the bong a few times and put on like fucking rave music as loud as possible in my headphones and dance at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's like my favorite thing to do. It's because it's like chaos, how can I go right into the fire first thing in the morning? But I've seen in the long term that actually doesn't really work out for me. So let's get into these questions, and then if you have any questions, you can just drop them here in the chat here on TikTok. But I'll see how many I can get to. I have 10 questions here that people already submitted on Instagram, and you can follow me on Instagram at Mommy Onami. And I usually put up a question sticker every Thursday, and that's what we're responding to here. Yeah, I love the chaos. You guys should see my art. It's just like abstract chaos. So in human design, what is my zone of genius? When and how did you realize? So when it comes to human design, I was just talking about this with my client yesterday. We were like making jokes. It's like, oh, well, you have gate 46, so that means you have brown hair. Or I find that human design always tells me things that like I already knew about myself, and in some ways it helps me relax. Like, for example, hearing from a human design perspective that I'm like a full-blown psychic. Like, I already knew that I had psychic things, but it made it easier for me to trust, when I had that validation from human design. But I would have found it eventually. And also, hearing that like my husband and we have like all 3 tantric channels. I didn't know that we had all 3 tantric channels, but like we've been teaching tantra together for 5 years. So I knew that. But I really find that the best way to figure out your zone of genius is not with human design. Like, there's some cool things that you can look at with human design. For example, and just a note to reflectors, anytime you hear people talking in human design about referencing your conscious sun or the sun, like, you don't work with the sun, you work with the moon. So just apply the same thing to the moon, and also like seek out mentorship from other reflectors, because the amount of misinformation out there, or the way that people kind of breeze by the reflector things because they're only 1% of the population, has created a very disempowering narrative for reflectors. And you guys have like all the power because you're all the types in one. So go reflectors. But some things that you could look at in your chart is like your conscious Mercury. So your Mercury looks like the let me just show you the Mercury symbol on this. Your conscious side is going to be, when you're looking at your human design chart, it's going to be on your right hand side of the chart, the red side. And there's all of the different symbols there for the different planets. So I'll just draw you what the Mercury symbol looks like. It's got the bullhead and like the plus sign like that. That's Mercury. So your conscious Mercury, when you look at your human design chart, on the right hand side of the chart, you find that symbol and it'll tell you like a gate number. Now that is your messaging. That's your messaging. That's like how it is, the energy on which that you are here to share your gifts. So for me, it's joy. Like, you guys are here to, I like to party. I like to laugh. My favorite way to heal with people is if we're laughing, we're healing. If we're laughing, we're healing. I'm like one of the darkest people that you'll ever meet, but with that comes a big old slice of dark humor. And those of you that have done my trauma workshop know that it's kind of an interesting side effect to be, like observing somebody's memory of being like raped as a baby, but we're having a laugh about it. And that's one of those situations where it's like, it takes one to know one. But even in like the absolute darkest sessions that we have, there is still quite a lot of laughter. So if you're laughing, you're healing. But your conscious Mercury, that is where, that's your messaging. And then when it comes to, I think that the nodes are something really interesting right now. So there's your North Node, and your North Node after the age of 38. Like, if you head towards, so your North Node looks kind of like this Leo symbol, and you'll have one on the right side and one on the left side. And then the South Node is going to be the same thing, but reversed. That's how I do it. The South Node is going to be the same thing, but reversed. Now, the South Node is, we'll do the North Node first. The North Node you could consider to be like the theme of your career going forward. So age 38 to 43, this is going to start really going ding, 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 ding for you. And until then, it's going to be your South Node. So if you want to know what the theme of your current career is, you could look at your South Node on the conscious side, on the right hand side. And that's your front of house, right? If you were to look at the North and South nodes on the left-hand side, this would be considered like your back of house, your unconscious that you're not really aware of. But as far as like what you should be presenting to the public from a branding perspective, from a business perspective, your North nodes will tell you like the direction that you're going in. So for me, it's 36, which is called like the gate of fucking. Like, literally, it's very sexually oriented going forward in that way. And so I think that that's an interesting aspect to look at if you're like, what should I be focusing on? You could definitely look at that. But I find that the best way to figure out your zone of genius has nothing to do with human design. It is the term zone of genius comes from Gay Hendricks, who wrote the book, The Big Leap. And in The Big Leap, I'm not sure if this is actually in the book, but I think it is. There's this strategy that they do, and like almost every business coach will do it when somebody's wanting to scale their business. It's something called the 80-20. And the 80-20 suggests that 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your efforts. So if this is true, that 80% of your results are coming from 20% of your efforts, you could effectively cut out 80% of your activities, be left with just 20% action, and get the same results, if not more. Because when you have all of that, when you have 80% more energy to focus on 20% of your efforts, because you're not spreading yourself super thin, then those results get better and better. So how it is that you do this is you make a line down the middle of the page like this. Ta-da! And on this side, you're going to write down all of the activities that make up your life right now or in business. So if we were doing this with me, my tasks include writing, shooting videos, answering questions, running my social media, editing video, creating newsletters, doing the graphics, creating the sales pages. It used to involve tech support and emails. I don't do this anymore. My husband does. But you write down, and you really want to get into it, like all of the things that you do for your business. And then on the other side of it, you're going to make a list of like the most successful moments that you've ever had. Studying is a big part of what I do, but the most successful moments that you've ever had in your career. And then you just make a line and what of these actions directly contributed to this success. So if one of my greatest successes, and it's not like a money thing, it's like, when did you feel the most successful? When I launched my first fourth way workshop, which was called the School of Unified Spiritual Laws, which you can get. I have a subscription of all of my level 1 teachings. So if some of my teachings seem to be like, for you, for $33 a month, you can get it's like 25 different workshops, each one of them valued anywhere from 25 to, when they launched, they were all $300 to $2,500, but now I have them for sale between 33 and 99 bucks, because I just really want people to have them. But for $33 a month, you can cancel anytime. You can get that whole suite of workshops, and that's on my website under the Bruja Report. If you're ever stuck on something, you can just go to mommyonami.com. There's a contact button down there. You can ask us questions and we'll help you find what it is that you're looking for. But the School of Unified Spiritual Laws was a launch that I was really passionate about, like the Enneagram. It did really well at the time. It did it was like a $40,000 launch several years ago. But a $40,000 launch right out of the gate without me even thinking about it. I didn't have a bunch of emails or whatever. I basically just showed up and nerded out on live and made 40 grand super easily. And it was something that I was really passionate about teaching. It was something that I really needed to teach. And so that was a big success for me. So there were all of these activities that I was doing, for example, uploading things onto YouTube, editing videos. But the main activities that contributed to that success were me studying, which I love, me writing, and me showing up and doing video. So if I just study, write, show up, and do video, that's what keeps the needle moving forward in my business, and just about everything else can be delegated. I like to keep things really simple in my business. I don't work very much at all. It's not because I think that working is bad, but I'm in the trenches with my kids, I'm with my kids all the time, which I love. It's so nice to be able to be with them so much. But my husband usually watches them for 2-3 hours a day during the week when I'm working. And then I watch the kids for 2 hours while he goes and pursues his real estate business. So this is a aspect of what we do, but our life and our business together, it's he handles all of the investing. And I love to just make money and throw it behind me like this. But as far as stock, I'm the type of person that'll just give money away. When I'm done with something, I give it away. As far as reselling something, if I I don't drive, but if I bought a car, I would give it away to somebody when I was done with it. I couldn't be bothered to resell it or make a buck on it or anything like that. I just like to make the money and throw it behind me. So he handles all the the long-term investments and real estate and stuff like that. I handle this side of it. And then together, raising our children is our number one priority. We educate them ourselves. And this is one day, I'm going to go into children's education, because I'm really adamant that we should be teaching our own children, and that we all know that the public school system is failing and the private school system is no better, but that these 8-hour school days, 40 hours a week, does not work for kids, and everybody's addicted to the childcare. So my first mission was okay, let's get you guys unhooked on the childcare, making some money in a shorter amount of time so that you can even spend time with your kids. But as far as the actual educational resources and teaching people how to feel comfortable and confident teaching their kids, this is something that I'm still working on. It just involves learning to stop swearing and stuff, and I have to put clothes on my kids, which they don't usually wear. So it's something that I'm working on. But as far as the zone of genius for this particular business, for Onami House business, if I study, if I write, and if I show up and do video, I get all of the results. If all I did was do that, I would get all of the results. And finding that had really nothing to do with my human design. That was just practical business skills. How to stop repeating life patterns that no longer serve you. And I'm going to be specific with this one because I know this man really well. This guy has a tendency to attract lady drama. And he is such a catch for real. This is such an attractive, talented, super attractive, great body, sober, looks good, daddy vision, great body, amazing musician, sober, like full package. Yet he kind of consistently has these like really explosive breakups, and I can tell just by the tone of his question that this has happened to him again. And in the 5 years that we've known each other, it's happened to him a few times. We could call this baby mama drama. And they're not your type, babe. I need to remind him that at this point, at 30 minutes in, I answer his question. They're not your type, babe. They're your pattern. This person that you keep attracting, this isn't your type. You say, oh, this lady, she's my kryptonite. This is your pattern. And this pattern is rooted in trauma. Basically, you are saying, hey, how did I get this flower crown on my head? Who put this flower crown on my head? Honey, could you do that again? Oh, how fun. How fun was that? Someone put a flower crown on my head on my TikTok. This person that you're attracting over and over again basically exhibits the worst characteristics of your mom. And there's something inside you that's addicted to it. And that something is something that was learned. It isn't something that it's not something that's natural to you. Now, we always, our parents, your mom was the first person, the first divine feminine you ever met. Your dad was the first divine masculine that you ever met. And with your soulmate, they will remind you. I swore I would never marry a Scorpio. I'm so happily married to a Scorpio. My dad's a Scorpio. My stepdad's a Scorpio. I have several Scorpios in my family, and I saw my mom always just get fucking oppressed by these archetypes. And what I didn't understand unconsciously was like, just because my mom responded to their actions didn't mean that I was going to be unconsciously forced to respond in the same way. Like she would say, I hate these Scorpio men because they would always, in the middle of me doing something, be like, come, I need to speak to you for a second. But she always went. So I could stay there, just because my partner occasionally acts like my father does not mean I have to behave like my mother. And this is where two partners, each that are taking responsibility for what they're bringing to the relationship is important. That's that Two of Cups energy. But these people, the second that you see them, oh, maybe this isn't, I see this pattern unfolding. Like you actually recognize it in the beginning, but there's something that says, this is the best that it's going to get, or there's a good idea or whatever, and you go for it. Now listen, every single one of these relationships for you has been long, have been beautiful. Sometimes breakups just like breaking up, you'll break up with everybody that's not your soulmate. You'll break up with literally every single person that's not your soulmate, and it'll hurt like hell. But if you are ready for that soulmate relationship, then you need to write down on paper what are the characteristics of this person that you want to be with, and you need to not compromise on that. Here in this Fucklist book is something that I have people do all the time, but please do this specific thing. It's called the identity game. You can just do it on paper like this. So this book isn't available right now, but when Fucklist launches, it will be. It's like $8. The identity game. So we make a line down the paper. On one side, we have the inner self, and on the outside, we have the outer self. So the inner self is what you're saying to yourself about you, and the outer self is what you're saying to the outer world about you. If you look at your social media, that's a really good example of the outer you that you show. And then the inner you is a lot of times living in the shadow of that projection. So let's say that you are saying to the world, I'm such a success. And then on the inside, you're like, oh, I'm not a success. I'm such a failure. Neither of these things are true about you. But the 500 kilowatt projection of I'm such a success creates a negative 500 kilowatt shadow that says I'm such a failure. And when people say just be yourself, you can't, because you don't know who you are. You can't just be who you are on the inside, because that's a lie too. And so what you're going to do is you want to try and fill this page up. All of the possible characteristics about the inner self, all the possible characteristics of the outer self. Consult your social media page, notice the projections, see if they're creating an equal and opposite reaction. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cross off. So for example, your outer self would probably show that you're very strong, and your inner self also knows that it's very strong. So if it's a match on both sides, then you add it to the bottom of the page. Now, anywhere where it's an inconsistency on the two sides, so let's say that you were saying to the outer world, like, I'm super positive, and on the inside, you're like super pessimistic. Neither of these things are true about you, so you don't have to feel bad about being pessimistic because that's not true. And you don't have to feel good about being optimistic because that's not true either. These just aren't, and you don't need to be optimistic or pessimistic. Why would you? You're strong. You're strong. So you cross off valiantly all of the things that are not true about you. And if it's not a match on both sides, and let's say that you're telling the world that you're super confident and you say, but inside I'm a little bit confident. Is this a match? Rate it. Is it a 5-star experience of confidence on both sides? If it's not a 5-star experience, cross it off. Now, it's better to just move through this and not, you're only allowed to have 2-star system inconsistencies on your list, because I've definitely seen some people get real. I've been doing this with people for years because it works. When it works, it works. But anything that's not a consistent on both sides is not who you are. So at the bottom of your list, there should be 3-4 things about you that are true on both sides. Yes, I'm strong. Strong on the inside, strong on the outside. Curious on the inside, curious on the outside. Loyal on the inside, loyal on the outside. I might not be confident. I might not be the world's biggest success. I might not be, emotionally stable, but I am strong. I am curious, and I am loyal. Live from these aspects. When you're worried that people are going to find out the real you, or when relationships dissolve because the real you came out, if you know that the real you is strong, loyal, brave, curious, or whatever your consistent aspects are, all you got to be is that. That is who you are. But when you are living from these aspects, you will attract somebody that also has these same characteristics, and they'll be a match for you. So if you're wondering what, you could definitely write down, okay, what are the main characteristics that I want in a soulmate? I want them to be patient. I want them to be fun. I want them to be free. I want them to be, you can't compromise on these things, because if you're serious about meeting that soulmate, then you need to think about the attributes that you want in that soulmate. And there'll be something very complementary to this, if not the same. When you meet that soulmate, they'll probably have those same characteristics, plus a few bonuses. Like, I am very impatient. And my partner is very, very patient. Like, he's literally so patient. The most patient guy ever. He's so at peace with the timing of life. Me, I like to push the river, I'm crazy. But this is the hitch, is that you're not clear about who it is that you're willing to hold out for. So you're settling, and that's fine. You've learned amazing things with all of these people. But like I said before, like, if I set out to make a light bulb and you set out to find your soulmate, and in making the light bulb, I accidentally made a hot dog roasting Ferris wheel that everyone says is amazing. That's not gonna, you can sleep with as many hot dog roasting Ferris wheels as you want. Although I recommend keeping your focus. People these hookups have a tendency to turn into relationships. And if you have a vagina, then you're literally absorbing their energy, and it's going to be really hard for you to not think about these people. It's better to just say, I'm not fucking anybody until it's the right person. But don't get distracted from your goal. If your goal is a light bulb, then don't fucking date a hot dog roasting Ferris wheel. You know what I mean? Everybody, I like this thing as well, as like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Amsterdam, but like getting a 24-hour layover in Amsterdam is you can get that option a lot on flights to Europe. And when you haven't been to Amsterdam, it's cool. Their red light district is amazing. It's, of course, Weed Town. The fucking airport takes you, it's like a 30-minute train from inside the airport into the city center where you can walk around on cobblestone. Everything is really charming. And as you start to get deep into that 24-hour layover, you're like, I could live here. Like, for real. I could live in Amsterdam. I'm obsessed with Amsterdam. I could live here. And it's really tempting to not get on that flight. But like, don't forget your destination. It's totally fine to love a layover as long as you don't forget about your destination. So, and you know what? Like, I'm speaking right to you. I'm speaking right to you. You're a catch, my G. You're a catch. You're a catch. Nothing broken, no baggage. You're a catch. You're a catch. So get with somebody that is also a catch, that you don't want to change anything about. And their vibe will not be rushed and exciting. It'll be steady, and they'll be there, and those red flags won't be there. And if you are aware of what it is that you're holding out for, you'll be able to see a red flag for what it is, and you won't stick around thinking that that's going to change, because people don't change. People don't change. So you have to be with somebody that you don't want to change at all. That you say, as is, I'll take it. Any specific prep you might do before baby number 3? Yes, there will be. I very much wanted to have my 2 babies, Reiner and Wiley. I wanted to have them close together so that they could play with each other. But I'm down to wait a good long time before baby number 3 comes along. So what I'm doing to prep for baby number 3 is I know exactly when I'm ovulating, and we 69 when I'm ovulating. Patrick hardly ever blows. We don't ejaculate very often because we do sex magic, right? And now that we're married and he's my partner, like, we can fuck on my period. And when you mix blood and semen, it's a really potent ritual. Do not do this with somebody that you're not sure is your soulmate. Like, for fucking real. I'm telling you, if you're doing fucking blood magic with somebody that is not your soul, like not your soulmate, that you don't completely trust, this is somebody that's gonna fucking torment you mentally for the rest of your life. Like, straight up, you will be giving them a huge dose of your powers, and they will have you on that short ass leash. You won't be able to get over them. And it's a big, mixing blood and semen is big ceremony. And whether you are aware of it or not, wow, I'm doing big ceremony here. Like, wherever your mind is focused the most unconsciously. So let's say every morning you meditate for 20 minutes thinking about what it is that you want, but for the rest of the day that you worry. When you mix blood and semen and you're unconsciously worrying for 90% of the day, rest assured that those worries will start to manifest really fast, because you're doing accidental magic. And accidental magic is like super fucking dangerous. So be careful, I'm telling you. Everybody always gets so mad, like, I'm not a feminist if I say don't fuck on your period. But like, come on, you guys. Like, this is blood magic. Blood and semen mixed together, ambrosia. Like, it's the for real shit. But it creates and maintains worlds. So it will create and maintain uncomfortable, shitty worlds, because the universe is chaos. There's no bad. But if whatever you're focusing on the most, you can't trust men. Let's say you have a belief from childhood. This is why when I say to do sex magic, you have to have clear channels. Let's say that you have a belief from childhood, you can't trust men because your mom and your dad didn't get along and your dad walked out on your mom. Well, just because your dad walked out on your mom doesn't mean that all men are going to walk out on you. You need to be able to detach who you are from who your parents are. But when you have childhood trauma and when you have trust issues that you've been carrying around since childhood, this is what you're unconsciously manifesting. So you have a partner that you love and you've been with, but you haven't cleared the trauma. And so you're trying to have a fucking wonderful relationship, but actually you just keep creating more and more of the trauma, and you don't understand why. It's because you're doing unconscious sex magic on blocked chakras and creating more of that trauma. And it's very simple to clear trauma. It's as easy to clear trauma as it is to talk about it. And I have so many videos of this on my TikTok, but basically you understand what blocks each chakra, because where the Kundalini serpents, which is what you're working with when you do sex magic, every place their tails cross, that's a chakra. If there's a blocked chakra, you could imagine it like a knot in the tail. So the energy is coming up through the serpent's bodies, hitting this kink in the hose and spraying out all over the place, trying to find a place to bust some of this fucking crazy strong energy out. If it's doing that on a block, then it creates more of the block. So you need to go to the root of the block and say, okay, so the block of the root chakra is fear, and in the West, guilt as well. So you need to go to the root of your fear and guilt and remove it. Now, that's really easy to do if you understand what guilt is. But the function of my teacher training is it's a fucking 2-hour lecture, or now it's like a 20-page chapter because it's in book form for when we release it again. Helping you see, like, look, this is guilt. You only ever have 7 problems. You think that you have so many different problems, but actually you just have like 7 problems. And if you go to the root of these 7 problems, they're transformed. But a lot of us like don't really know what guilt is or how to get to the bottom of it. And this is a technology that I teach. It's not me gatekeeping. It's just that if I start teaching it to you, I can't leave you fucking half cooked. Like, I have to give you the whole history of guilt. I have to show you case studies of how other people experience guilt. I need to teach you exactly how to get to the root of guilt, because if you don't take out the root, it's going to keep happening. And so, and it's just always taken me, I've taught this fucking 10 times. It always takes me 2 hours to convey this information. And when I write it in book form, it's like still takes 20 pages to do it. So this is very much like life's work, but the last 5 years have been all around like, how can I condense this and streamline it and make it more financially accessible for people? Because 20 hours of my time is just going to cost you some money. You're so welcome. So I do books. Someone's asking me here, how can they get my book? I do book drops. So kind of like sneakers. I don't have books that are just always available all the time. And my books have because sometimes you need to hear my voice to understand. When I'm teaching to an audience, if somebody doesn't understand like how it would be written in the book, I give them 3 different metaphors. I like the hot dog roasting Ferris wheel. I give them so many different metaphors. I give them so many different examples. And then if that still doesn't work, I'll bring in a story from my own experience, which is me taking a pretty dense spiritual teaching and just kind of breaking it down until you understand. But I'm going to like make sure that you understand. And, you know, some people will be able to get the result just by reading it. But for a lot of people, seeing me work with the case studies and having that additional experience of video, whether it's live or recorded, really helps them to get the healing. And it's risky when if you try something and it doesn't work, then you say, okay, that doesn't work for me. And these tools absolutely work, but I just need to make sure that you understand them, that you've absorbed them. So the only books that I have available that you can get right now is my book Painkillers, which is one of my favorite things that I've ever done. And the Bruja Report Journal, those are both like low content books that are here to prompt you. Painkillers is how to cut cords, how to and it's the grief recovery process or heart work. It's how to forgive somebody. It's how to accept something. It's how to cut someone out of your life. And you can always get one of these sheets for free if you go to mommyonami.com/painkiller. The only reason there's a printed version of the book when, you know, we're doing it for free is because it's really nice to be able to write it down. And once you get in the practice of doing them and you see how many blocks it moves for you, it's like, oh, fuck. Like I want so many of these. So you can get a book with 55 of them. And then the Bruja Report Journal is how I plan out my success in esoteric and also practical terms. And then this is something we already kind of talked about. Like, yeah, we could look at human design trying to find our zone of genius, but it would be much faster if we just took the business way. But my prep for baby number 3 is not having a baby until I am really, really sure that I actually want to have a baby. I'm like in kind of, I love how simple my life is right now. I love that my husband, when I have a newborn baby, I've got a baby on the boob 24 hours a day for 2 years. And when I'm pregnant, I'm like literally so tired that I'm just like in bed for a year straight. And I'm like really stoked about my body and stuff right now. Like my workout routine is going really well, and my book writing routine is going really well. And a baby's really gonna fucking throw a monkey wrench in my perfectly organized day. And there is definitely a time where I crave that rebalancing. And I'm like, bring it on. Let's have fucking chaos for 2 years. Let's do it. But and I have to be in the mood for that chaos. I'm looking at someone's comment come in that says, I just started reading your book for free. Yeah, I forgot that I have the Enneagram book for free right now. And it's an ebook. It's just 30 pages, but man, it's going to blow your fucking mind. It's going to blow your mind. There's so many spiritual secrets in that. And that's in my bio, or at mommyonami.com/Enneagram. Mommy is M-A-M-I. Onami is like writing on a mission. You can see that. And then Enneagram is E-N-N-E-A, gram, like a gram of cocaine. So advice for when belief in a friendly universe wavers: war, famine, rape, hostile things that happen. Hostile things happen because the universe is partially chaotic, but they're not happening. This is, first of all, when something happens versus something happens to you. So for example, my kid is screaming at me. Well, my kid's not screaming at me. My kid is screaming. My kid is screaming. When I say this is happening at me or to me, I take it on, I identify with it, and it's like, that's his shit going on. He's in a screaming mood. But every time you say this shouldn't be happening. So I used to believe in a friendly universe, and then things didn't go my way. A war is happening right now, and this shouldn't be going on. Every time you say this shouldn't be going on, you're playing little man, big God, little lady, big God. You're saying, you missed a spot, God. What the fuck? What the fuck? The spiritual path is about observing these things and not trying to change it. And this is really hard for people to do. It's significant of the level when you're like, good, bad, right, wrong. This shouldn't be happening. I need to stop these things from happening. Like, there are plenty of people that didn't incarnate to be on the spiritual path, and for them, fighting the war of good and bad is going to be their life's work. Like, these people become politicians and eventually become really corrupt in their own way, because the lengths that people will go to preserve their idea of what's right. Don't forget that the fucking war is happening because two sides both think they're right, and they're willing to just go to the end for it. Things like famine, when it's a natural disaster, every time you say this shouldn't be happening, you are saying that like God's not doing a very good job, and that basically you could be doing a better job than God. And if you're not on the spiritual path, then this doesn't really matter. You can play that game all you want because you didn't incarnate to really like get the meaning of things. But if you want to find the meaning of things, for example, why are people dying of starvation in Somalia? Then you need to understand God, and you will never completely understand God. You won't. It's unknowable. God is unknowable. But what you can understand is that for all of your perspectives about like how things could be better or worse, think about how many times you've gotten what you wanted and it was a disaster. Everything has its own place. Everything is happening as part of like a grander design that like you can't comprehend. And to use a story from Joseph Campbell went to his guru. He had the opportunity to meet his guru, and he had on top of that the opportunity to ask his guru a question. And the question he had for his guru was like, God knows all, sees all, controls all, but how can I say yes to God while there are starving children in Africa? How can I say yes to God while also saying no to starving children in Africa? And his guru smiled at him and he said, for people like us, we have to say yes to it. So not for everybody, but for people like us, we have to say yes to it. And Joseph Campbell found out afterwards that when his guru was in his position, the young sannyasi, getting to ask the great guru a question that was the same question that he had. So understand that like this question is significant. It's a significant rite of passage. How do I say yes to God while saying no to this? But the answer is this. For people like us, we have to say yes to it. I have to say yes to being raped as a baby like so many times. So, you know. What do I know about human design manifestors? If I can speak from my heart, what I know about human design manifestors is that we don't really get along that well. And one of the reasons why this is because manifestors hate generators telling them what to do. But my path is the path of like unwavering, radical personal accountability. And I don't really have friends. If I can be equals with somebody, then they're my friends. But if people are asking me for advice, they're not my friends. And if I'm giving somebody advice, like I'm not really their friend. My friends are people that I don't want to change. And all my friends are dead, like straight up. I had so many friends, but they all died. So now, and then I've kind of, if people come into my sphere naturally as friends, great. But I live like a hermit type of lifestyle where I just don't see a lot of people. And I'm just not, I'm a 6'3" and I'm omoyamaya. I play really well by myself, but like I love being with the collective, but that I'm not the type of person that's ever, I love to be alone with a book. I've never been the type of person that rolls with like a big crew of people, or it's like, I never see you, or feels weird for not having friends. Like I just do my thing. But when people come naturally into my spheres, I'm really good friends with my neighbor right now. I love her. I absolutely love hanging out with her. But it's like with who's around me, I can't like cook up a friendship. But with manifestors, and I have like manifestors in my family as well, and they're on their own thing, and they're not really here to be cognizant about how other people receive them, and that's totally fine. But a manifestor, it's not that I don't get along with manifestors, is that like manifestors kind of don't get along with me, because I will point out if someone's like, why is this like this? I'll be like, this is like this because of this. It's you. And I'll give this to a generator. I'll give this to a projector. I'll give this to manifesting generators. I'll give it to reflectors. And I'll give it to a manifestor. But the manifestor doesn't like to do it because the manifestor wants to initiate, respond, and inform. And so I have never given unsolicited advice to manifestors. When it is solicited, I certainly hand it in, but they do not seem to like it. And the reason why this sucks for me is it's just something, with time, hopefully I'll be able to be like, you guys don't receive my message so well, and that's okay. So I'm just not going to do it even when it's solicited. I'm just going to be like, you figure it out for yourself. But in the past, when I've been in this situation where like somebody asks me for my advice and I give it, and then they like throw it back in my face so much, or be like, you're wrong. Because that's usually what the manifestor tells me, is like, you're wrong about this. And I'm literally like, I know when I'm wrong about something, I can see how we could both be right. But if you asked me what I can see that you can't, and I can tell, I'm a full on fucking psychic. When I know, I know. When I know what it is, I know what it fucking is. And when somebody, and it always hits with people, they're like, oh my God, that is what it is. But I find that with the manifestor, they're like, that's not what that is. And then I'm like, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong, because I'm very quick to humble myself. I'm very quick to assume that I'm wrong. So I say, okay, let me look into this deeper. Is this person right? And then I start to question myself, and then it starts to kind of drag me down, because I'm like, why am I like this? How? And it sucks, because it's kind of like trying to prove to somebody in a psych ward that you're not crazy, because like I know what I know. And I feel it. It's like it's something that I feel. This is why this is this way. You have a resistance to getting vulnerable. But when somebody's arguing with me and telling me it's wrong, then I start to question my own gifts. And this is just not something that I deal with anybody except for manifestors. I don't have anything against manifestors whatsoever, because my younger sister is a manifestor, and like my favorite female in the world. So, but my advice, my unsolicited advice for manifestors, so you're already going to, not like this one, but don't fucking ask me for advice if you're not ready to hear that you got fucking problems and work to do. And if you are resistant to that, I'm just not going to talk to you. And that's totally fine. But if there's some opportunities to get a question in with me. You can't DM me and ask me a question. I'm not going to answer to it. You can't email me and ask me a question, but you can ask me a question on a question sticker like this. And I won't know what your design is, but if you're giving crossed arm energy and you're resisting it, it's probably exactly what you fucking need to hear and you don't want to hear it. So I've been doing this a long ass time. I know what the fuck I'm talking about and I'm channeling here. So I don't have like a fucking plan of what it is that I'm going to say. You ask me something, I feel the energy behind it. I ask God to speak through me and whatever comes through, comes through. You don't want to hear it? That's totally fine. But I'm not going to sit around thinking there's something wrong with me because you don't want to hear that you got fucking problems. So I can admit that I got fucking problems all day long. But that's the step to learning is, and if you're going to hire, like maybe manifestors just shouldn't hire coaches, or if they are, they should be like reflectors or someone that can serve it back to them the exact same way. Because if you read like anything on human design, they're going to say that manifestors hate generators telling them what to do. So understand, if you're into human design, understand that if you're a manifestor and I'm a generator and you're asking me what's wrong, I'm going to tell you and you're probably not going to like it. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. Thoughts about meat eating and connection to lower vibrations. Everybody's going to tell you if anybody is trying to tell you this is how you've got to eat, this is what you have to do, that's a them thing. Like that's a them thing. I went to nutrition school. I've studied like so many different dietary theories. Right now, I'm trying to eat according to my human design, which is one ingredient at a time. But like the fucking cities will tell you that you're not allowed to eat meat. And then the keto people will tell you that you should eat meat. And the Jewish people will say that you should eat meat. But then these people will say that you shouldn't eat meat. And it's like, do what feels good for you. Literally do what feels good for you. And honestly, if you're not Indian, if you're not like from India, you might epigenetically, like your body might be here to eat meat, but this is something that you really have to take into consideration. Like if you are devoting yourself completely to religion to the point where they say eating meat is low vibration, like that's coming from a specific lineage. That's like mainly the like India, the Hindu way of thinking, the Buddhist way of thinking as well. But like, you're not from there. If you are from there, then like you wouldn't be asking these questions because it would be in your culture for so long. But like, there's always this risk. Carl Jung had something to say on this, which I thought was really interesting, but I'm forgetting what book it was in. Oh, it was so interesting. Oh, it's in this book about Kundalini. Let me see if I can find it. I love this quote about it, but it's basically the risks. I'm probably going to have a really hard... It's in the... Here we go. Some Westerners seek to live without roots. Okay? Some Westerners seek to live without roots hydroponically through futurism, while others try to reinvent the past via the men's movement, goddess worship, Afrocentrism, and the like. Yet others search for roots in still living cultures as the Indian, Native American, Tibetan, or Chinese, as if perhaps by donning their visages, they can somehow assimilate their ways. So this is like us being like, oh, because like, look, I get it. Like I'm super called to Ifa, but culture, like I'm totally white. I learned so much from Yoruba religions, but as far as like keeping an altar to my ancestors and stuff, this is something that is, I literally just don't have the option to do that because I don't have a connection. I was raised in a cult without any access to my ancestors at all. So like, I don't know how to use it. I didn't grow up in this type of village thing where I knew all of my ancestors and had access to them in that way. And like keeping your altar with your ancestors is such a huge part of Yoruba, but that's not culturally, it's not a cultural possibility for me, the same way that stopping eating meat might not be a cultural possibility for you. But this is super important. Others search for roots in such still living cultures as the Indian, Native American, Tibetan, or Chinese, as if perhaps by donning their visages they can somehow assimilate their ways. You're really hungry for culture, but you're not going to be able to just eat somebody else's culture because it's never going to fit you exactly, and you're going to wonder if every time you eat meat you're pissing off God. And it's like, yeah, American person, you might be pissing off one of the Indian deities by eating meat because it's against their rules, but like, this isn't and this is why I'm so interested in pantheism and the indigenous God. What was I'm Irish by blood. Like, this is my ancestry. And so like my ancestors were Dreeds. They were Druids. Bandry, the UI actually makes the E sound. They were Dreeds. But this is the Druids didn't have any type of book or anything like that. It was site specific. So like, this tree is holy, this creek is holy, and then you talk to the tree and it tells you how to pray and what to do. There's no book, there's no it's just something that you feel, which is really similar to Ifa, which is really similar to like Native American practices, but it's ancestral to me. And I love all of these different systems, but it's never really going to fit you correctly. We have, however, become so superficial that few of us know how to dive deep enough into the cultures we seek to emulate, to tap into their roots. And so we usually, as Jung feared, poison ourselves. And if you're going to devote yourself to one of these paths to the degree that you're going to like change up your diet because Sadhguru will tell you your teeth are not meant to chew meat. Look at these teeth and here's his data. And like, everybody will have their own philosophy about it. But if you're to assimilate yourself in the culture to that degree, this is written by a guy who spent like fucking 30 years in India. And is still saying that, like, I have not been able to assimilate myself sufficiently in the culture because I didn't grow up here. So I'm a guest and I'm respectful of it. But when you are trying to make the outer, it's like your outer self is Hindu and your inner self is Christian. And it takes a long time to bring those two together, and you'll be poisoning yourself trying to do it right when it's not something that actually fits you. It's okay to be who you are, and it's also okay to learn so much from I teach Tantra, like, this is not a Druid teaching, but it's something that has profoundly changed my life. But it's not the only thing that I teach. And learning how to make things my own, understanding that it'll never fit right out of the box, that it's something that I have to really sit with and be with and see how it compares to other similar practices. And the research is never over, but it's so easy to shame yourself for not being able to really like fit these things that culturally are just never going to be a fit for you. Carl Jung teachings esoteric in his sense of his teachings of symbolism. This question is way too advanced for me. I actually don't know. I'm going to repeat the question and see if anything comes up. Carl Jung teachings esoteric in the sense of his teachings of symbolism. I would need to be an expert in Carl Jung's symbolism teachings, and I'm not. Is it possible not to be ready for Enneagram work? Yeah, of course. Listen, I teach like niche spirituality. Hardly anybody is going to be interested in the Enneagram, in this like objective method for understanding all of creation. But for the people who it's for, they can't have anything but this. There's nobody else that's teaching it. When they saw this, they're like, oh man, this is it. And if they did one of my workshops that were Enneagram based, which are all the workshops that I've taught as Onami, they were like, oh, this shit works. Holy shit, this shit works. And they can't have anything but that. Now, not all of these people that are doing the Enneagram workshop, and we have like 4,500 people on the wait list for it, which is awesome. Is so awesome. No advertising. Like, this is amazing. But this is of course, it might not be your thing. I'm one of the only fourth way teachers that really focuses on this mathematical side of the Enneagram, nothing to do with the personality, nothing to do with the movements, just on the mathematical nature, where I'm like, look, instead of studying like all the different types of magic, we could just study this one because they all have to follow this pattern to work. And I was explaining this to my husband, like I've been cooking for a long time, so I hardly ever use recipes, but let's say I can't remember the last time I used a recipe for fucking real. But let's say that I wanted to make something that was totally new to me, like andouille sausage. And I've never made andouille sausage before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read probably 20 different recipes for andouille sausage, find out what ingredients they all have. So let's say the 10 steps that they all have. I'm going to memorize what those 10 steps are. And then I'm going to start experimenting, saying, if I hit these 10 steps, it'll be andouille sausage. Anything else I add on to it is my own flair, my own personal interpretation. Now, I can't say this is the best andouille sausage ever. Only you know. You might like something that's sweeter, something that's spicier. You might not want to deal with tripe at all. But I can tell you these 10 things make it andouille sausage. Add as much flair to it, take as much flair away from it as you want. If you hit these points, it'll be successful. How you do anything is how you do everything. So when it comes to me teaching, I have studied so many different types of magic. I've worked with so many different business coaches, and I was just sick of getting inconsistent results. So I wanted to learn a formula for consistent results for all manners of creation. And I found it. Plenty of people are not going to be ready for this. It doesn't mean you're spiritually immature. It just means that you're not ready for it. Like, you just don't, like, of course it's possible to not be ready for Enneagram work. Also, the Enneagram is a level 3, a symbolic teaching that I am breaking down into second level objective terms, where I can teach you guys the consistencies, the objective aspects of it that are true for all people. Now, because I'm teaching this in a live workshop just this once, if people don't understand the objective rules of it and they're like, but how does this fit me? We will hear their stories with the case studies, and they will hear my stories, and we will be able to, and we'll use, case studies like Kim Kardashian or the Lion King, like we do in that book, to be like, here's how it works for them. So it's a level 3 teaching made digestible for whoever the contemporary seeker is, but I teach the few. I teach the few. I don't teach the many. I would love to teach the many, but like, a lot of people are just not interested. Like, my best friend told me in the last conversation we had before we stopped being friends, he said, not everybody wants to know the meaning of life. And it's true. Not everybody wants to know the meaning of life. But for the people that do, I teach them for sure. What is the price of sacrifice? It's more like, what is the reward of sacrifice? What is the reward of sacrifice? Now, sacrifice is like a whole module that we're doing in the Enneagram, because you have to put up a sacrifice anytime you're doing a magical system. And whoever puts up the sacrifice gets the reward. You can't sacrifice something that's not you. And we'll probably use Hitler as a case study for that. You can't sacrifice something that's not yourself and expect to get a reward. It'll go the complete opposite. But there's two ways of looking at this question. It's like, what's the price of sacrifice? Like, how do you know that something is a sacrifice? It should hurt. It should hurt. It should be like, ooh. The last thing that I sacrificed was weed, which is like my favorite thing, for real, like my favorite thing. And I put that up on the altar knowing that it was never going to come back. Like alcohol went up on the altar 5.5 years ago. And it really hurt. I cried a lot giving up weed, because it was just such a huge source of pleasure in my life. I had a lot of my identity tied up in it. I really liked me on weed a lot more than I liked me without weed. So it was very, very difficult for me. But the reward, and the reward isn't something that I noticed the first day. Like, if you could watch a video that I put up, just a month ago on Q&A that was like, on a day-by-day basis, I do not feel as good not getting high as I do getting high, because I love chaos. I love, like, smoke this, feel crazy instantly. Like, I love this. But if I look back on months of my life and see the results and the progress that has been made because I choose to sacrifice this thing, it's like, pfft, shit is getting done over here, you guys. I've made so much money. I think I made 30 grand in the last 2 weeks without even thinking about it. Like, without even thinking about it, it was just like, it was literally so easy. I have a wait list that I could tap on at any time where I could make 20 grand in 20 hours doing psychic readings. It's just that I don't sell my time like that. And it would be 30 hours because my psychic readings are 90 minutes. I've probably made, since stopping smoking weed, I've only stopped smoking weed for like 4 months, and I've probably made like 150 grand because of that. So, like, I love money. So that's nice. How to heal being indoctrinated, fear of being evil or going to hell, Christian abuse. So to break up with your God, of your exoteric God. So, you know, whether it was like the Catholic God or the Christian God or the Hindu God or whatever, you incarnated to be born under that persecution, but that's not God. That's not God. So God doesn't get mad. God is infinitely expanding love, infinitely expanding universe. God breathes in and out the entire universe. So one breath, everything about the observable and the unobservable universe, everything about our where we live, our fucking Milky Way. That's just one breath cycle in the life of God. So when God exhales, when we're in one breath of God, when God is done with this exhale, like, the whole universe will collapse as we knew it. Like, that's how big and how vast God is. If you want to calculate God, it's possible. Brahma breathes in and out the universe. We are in between God's breath. So this is like the level. This is like what God's busy with. God is not fucking thinking about how it's pissed off at you. Like, that's not how God works. But if you did Wheels Reinvented, and you will, you know, you'll get there. You'll get, because I know who I'm talking to here. You'll get there. You're dealing with some stuff right now, but that shame is the trigger for use. All right? As somebody that's like been working with opiates for a while. The shame of who you are is why you use in the first place. And you have that shame because you don't just think that, like, you know, your parents might not like you, or society might not like you. It's that, like, God doesn't like you. And this isn't true about God. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing broken about you. You're beautiful and you're perfect exactly the way that you are. But we incarnated to feel this split from God. It's like we created God. There's a Sahasrara chakra, right? God didn't create you bad, like you believe. You created God bad, and it wasn't your fault, but like you existed before your concept of God existed. You were there before God was there, and your concept of God is put together by church and parents and movies and all of this stuff, and that's not the reality of God, and that's a false image of God, and you built it so you can take it down at any point. But like, when you have built this thing and then given it power over you, like, that's not God. That's just you playing with this your own creation. That is not the truth of God. But I just want to honor that it's really hard to come out of this. And this is what's called like schizophrenia. It's like the split mind when it's extended towards God. And so schizophrenia and the Anya chakra, the split between thinking, perception, memory, and personality. All of these things are split. When it becomes paranoid schizophrenia, it's extended towards the totality. So some people are afraid of aliens, the government. These are all different ways of saying God, which is another way of just saying that you're, you know, scared of death, basically. What's going to happen when my life here is over? What am I going to face? And are they going to like me or not? It's really just a fear of death at the deepest level, but it's this concept that there is a force out there, whether it's God, the government, or aliens, or whatever else, a force out there that's bigger than you, that knows everything about you, that is watching you and doesn't like you. Like, it's all the same. And that's why Einstein says the only question that matters is like, do you believe in a friendly universe or a hostile universe? And there's no in between. If you're going to believe in a friendly universe, you have to believe in it all the way. And when things happen that seem to be proof of a hostile universe, you have to say yes to it and understand that, like, you can't even keep your fucking room clean. What makes you think that you know the way that the earth should be turning to the point where you can say, God, you're fucking up here. You're missing a spot. You like, check your fucking self, you know? Check your fucking self. But when I remember that, like, I'm nothing. I'm nothing. I'm like the smallest speck of existence. A very meaningful speck to me, a very meaningful speck to those that are in relationships with me, you know, like we are here in a relationship right now. Meaningful, but very, very small. Very, very small. And God is, I mean, I'm in one fucking extended inhalation of God's. And yet, like, every time I stop and ask, like, God, like, please help me. The help is always there. It's like God stops everything that it's doing to help me get through my little tiny fucking ant on a log problems. And if that isn't love, like, I don't know what is, because that help always works. And that's why, like, so the Bruja Report journal is like all the questions that I need to ask myself every day to always be on target. The first question is, what would you like to do today to make sure that I'm on my tantric pleasure target? Because wherever there's pleasure, there's power. And if you start your day with what you want to do as opposed to what you think you have to do, it's really useful. Then there's, if I could only get one thing done today, what would it be? That's where I need to be at with production of my different things that I'm working on. And then the third question is, how can the gods bless you today? How can God bless you today? Because God wants to bless you every single day. So I want you to stop and think. You guys want to, we won't do all the questions, but like, how can God bless you today? You know how God can bless me today? I really want to have like a weekend that's so relaxing that it feels like a vacation. But in order to do that, I'm going to need to get some serious writing done today. So God can bless me by showing me how easy writing can be. Like, God wants me to write. We have this timeline that it needs to be written on. So, but I trust that God also wants me to have like a super relaxing weekend. So God can bless me by showing me how easy it is to write when it's aligned. When it's aligned. And people have told me that when I say I'm so small that I've got a limiting self-concept, and it's like, dude, when people walk around saying, yeah, but we're gods, I'm saying, honey, if you were gods, you would not be in that outfit. You know, if you were really gods, like, you would not have fucking 200 followers on Instagram that are ignoring you. Like, if you were really gods, your house wouldn't fucking look like that. So stop trying to tell yourself, stop trying to be the fucking foot soldier saying, I'm a general, I've got general material. Yeah, but you got a long way to go. And intelligence is knowing where the fuck you are. So stop walking around saying things you don't understand. Like, we're all gods, we're all general material. Yeah, but you got a long way to go. And the second that you accept you've got a long way to go, the actual work begins. Moving the needle forward actually begins. And when you realize that, like, no matter how hard you try, your efforts like only get you so far, that's when you start to rely on a strength that is greater than your own. And that's where the real magic begins. But you're never going to even get close to tapping that as long as you're walking around saying, we're all gods, we're all gods. I say, honey, no. Okay, let's do some rapid fire questions on here. We've got 8 minutes until I'm at my 90-minute cap. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to scroll back to the beginning, and I'm going to, and I'm going to do this as fast as I can. How long have I had my palm tattoo? A year. The pattern on your hand, can I use it to start a business? Yes, you will be learning this in my workshop on the Enneagram. Sis, I'm so happy I stumbled upon you. Enneagram has changed my life. Me too. So happy you have a really nice purple green aura. Thank you. Do you feel some relationships have expiration dates? Yes. Everybody that's not your soulmate will eventually go. Am I multidimensional? I mean, probably. I don't know. I've never tried. I've never asked myself that question before. In order for me to understand that, I'd have to really think about like what it would mean to be a multidimensional person. I definitely resonate with being multifaceted. I'm quite a Renaissance woman. I have a polymath. I have lots of different sides, but I've never really thought about this word before. I think the idea of working hard needs to be handled delicately. Yeah, you're totally allowed to think that. Sounds like an Aries, but I'm a Virgo. Nope, I'm a true professor of life. Thank you so much. But I try not to let compliments go to my head, because when people insult me, then it really goes to my head as well. So Satnam, thank you. My favorite people are Capricorns. Yeah, I can hardly hang out with other Capricorns at all, because I'm like, I overachiever. I get it. But it's kind of like there can only be one of us in the room at the same time. Change is easy. It comes down to willpower. I'm happy that change is easy for you. But in the past, it's been kind of hard for me. What if it's your husband who says that I awaken and see when I came from, and my husband hates who you are now? Then it sucks, it sucks when you're glowing up spiritually and your partner isn't into it. My question for you is, what do you love about him? What do you love about him? What does my name mean? My name means great wave. And I come from a planet that is like mostly ocean. And I was a part of Atlantis. I'm also the daughter of the ocean god in Ifa, which I learned from a wonderful priestess named Jajis. And everything, all of my awakening and stuff always comes in like oceanic metaphors. So Onami means great wave. It's actually a man's name, and this name was given to me at my last graduation. I'd heard it for a long time, but when I safely made passage into the objective realm, I received a new name, a one name. And Great Wave reminds me that I am here to operate not as one drop of water, but as the ocean, which means that I'm in it with all y'all. I'm in it with all y'all. I'm not a singular happening. I'm not one little drop of salt water, the biggest fucking drop in the ocean. I'm a part of it. Do you feel the magic radiate off? Oh, honey, thanks. Mistakes are just lessons. That's true. Do I plan on doing a tattoo tour? Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't take very long. Why did I stop smoking? Truthfully, if I can share from my heart, I was never going to quit smoking weed, because I was doing consulting for a cannabis company. I was like loving my weed life. I love smoking weed. Someone called CPS on me in Texas for smoking weed. And because that wasn't like sufficient, because it wasn't a big deal in Texas, you're allowed to smoke weed. It's not a criminal thing. They said that I was like a sex worker and selling opiates, because I have a book called Painkillers. So, painkillers for sale. But that was like my wake up call. And of course I could have just told CPS to, fuck off and been like, whatever, take me to court. Let's say, and not stop smoking weed. But I'm only ever talking to God. So it's not like, oh, who called CPS on me? God called CPS on me, because I would have never fucking stopped smoking weed. For real. I would have never stopped smoking weed. I was too comfortable with it. How do I keep all relationships new? You don't assume that you know everything about somebody. And that's really easy to do when you've been with your partner for a long time. Where do you recommend getting an HD profile done? You could just start with any old chart. You can go to Jovian Archive. You can go to Jovian Archive and get a free chart, and then it'll tell you like you're like a 6'3" generator. I would just look up videos on YouTube of what a 6'3" is. There's a guy named Richard Beaumont whose videos make me cry a lot. You could look up the Richard Beaumont video of what that number is, and then also look up what like a generator is. Can I ask what the tattoo on my forehead says? Yes, it says gentleness. You remind me of Julia Fox. I get that a lot. She was a regular at a restaurant I worked at for a long time. I was a bartender at a restaurant called Lucien in the East Village. Writing is my zone of genius, and sharing knowledge is my passion. Well, hey, sister. How much time do you spend formatting workshops? That exhausts me, and I always bail on course design. I have the Enneagram. All of my workshops are based on an Enneagram, so it really doesn't take that long. I don't believe in the horoscope stuff. Yeah, it doesn't really make me feel free. When I study too much human design, I don't feel very free either. Nature works in duality. Human nature isn't just one thing. So it's actually, nature does not work in duality. There's three sides to everything. There's three sides to everything. So chaos, order, and the setting in which chaos and order take place. So nature is friendly, nature is hostile, nature is. Nature is. It just is. Both and. Spiritual advice on healing physical illness. Know that you didn't manifest it. You didn't manifest being sick. There's something really painful that's happening to you. Yes, you will get the lessons. Yes, you will get through it. Yes, you will change up your entire life because of it. And you'll be grateful one day that it happened, but it sucks. It fucking sucks. And it's not fair. And I understand. Like, I get it. And people are going to give you all kinds of fucking advice. Take it all with a grain of salt. And, take it all with a grain of salt. How to become a more efficient writer, dealing with writer's block and finding a flow. You just have to surrender to your creative process and also surrender to the limitations that you're faced with. Like for me, writing every day is just not a possibility because I have children and I have a different style of life, and listening to like the masculine writing advice, it's like, wake up at 5 and write every day. It doesn't work for me. But what I find makes writing very easy for me is knowing what it is that I want to say. And I can think about what it is that I want to say when I'm washing dishes, when I'm with my kids. For me, when I sit down, writing is just like transmitting what's already there as opposed to trying to like work it out on paper. It's much easier for me. And I pray and I ask to please be spoken through. What's the book you are using? Oh God, I don't know, but I'll show you the 3 books that we've worked over today. We read a quote from Kundalini Agora Part 2 by Robert Svoboda. This is really cool. The Agoras are the Death Eaters. And this is about a guru named Vimalanda. This is a book I wrote called Fuckless, which isn't available right now, but it will be soon. You can get my book, The Enneagram, and Fuckless is releasing next, so you'll be able to get that there. This is my Bruja Report journal. This is how I stay productive. How do I untie from the magic now that I'm confident this is what was occurring? What I would recommend is just however it is that feels good for you, do a ritual to say, I am clearing the slate. I understand that there was a lot of things that went down that I didn't realize was going down, and I just want to clear the slate. You set that intention, do a little ritual that makes you feel like it's working, and then don't question if it's worked or not. Just go forward. If you're having a really hard time getting over the person, go to mommyonami.com/painkiller and fill out a painkiller worksheet on that person. That is a complete cord cutting ceremony. Started reading my book. Am I with my twin flame? I don't think so, because everyone that I hear that's like with their twin flames is like having a really bad time. But I had a fiance that died, and I'm sure that was my twin flame, because I was like, oh, this guy's going to be the fucking death of me. And actually he ended up being the death of him, which was the death of me. But then I was reborn as a witch. So, did TikTok take down my Kairos video with my son? Yeah, they did. Literally, I've gotten flagged for child pornography in like every single video where my kids are. So I'm like, I guess I just can't. Like, I'm not even showing their like nipples, I'm like showing their face, but they took it down and they wouldn't even let me appeal it. And I was like, fuck, I've had CPS called on me, right? And I've also had my whole TikTok taken down for breastfeeding. The reason why it's mommy.onami is because my first one got taken down. So like, I definitely don't want to piss off the TikTok algo, but explain the difference in generator versus manifestor. That's a human design question. Am I a generator or a manifestor? Only you will know when you look it up. Go to jovianarchive.com. I'm a manifestor and I know I have issues. Sweet baby. Yeah, but you're the T. Manifestors are the T. They're so fun. I love my sister. She's such a bitch. She's such a bitch, and I just love it because she's just unapologetically herself. I just love her so much. Did my palm tattoos hurt? Yeah. And do I feel like they block my energy centers at all? No. What if you're not lucky enough to know your culture? I fucking feel that. I only found out my culture because I did a DNA test, which I wouldn't have done, but my husband really wanted one for his birthday. So we did it together. I didn't want to do it because I was afraid we would find out that we were like related or something. And also I was like, where are they storing this DNA and what's it for? Afrocentrism, that's me reading out of a book. So not my words. That book is Vimalanda. I have a lot of Irish and Scottish in my DNA. Was told my whole life I wasn't. Then I got a DNA test. If I'm a mixed woman, should I follow the lifestyle of my maternal lineage? No. Honor them both and mix them together in your own way. Definitely hydroponic in my roots. Yeah, I get so. And if I took the test, I got manifesting generator. So I'm both. No, generator is a derivative of manifesting generator is a derivative of generator. You apply by the generator rules. Life isn't one size fits all. Any messages directly for blackness? The herb message hit hard. I mean, I'm not black, so there's some people that say that there shouldn't be any messages of blackness at all. What I will say is that anybody anywhere that tries to suggest that your blackness could limit you in any way whatsoever is not useful for your mission. Period. It doesn't matter how they're trying to get that message in, but make sure that you can decide what you're taking in. I don't care if 99% of the world is pushing a narrative that says that Black people are at a disadvantage. You pay attention to the 1% that's speaking differently. And this is not me saying this is how to be Black, because what the fuck do I know? I'm not Black. I took a DNA test and I'm still not Black. But from a spiritual law perspective, you will manifest wherever your mind is spending most of its time. And the narrative that I've seen being the predominant one is one that is not empowering to Black culture. So make sure that you're focusing on the side of it that's facing Black excellence, that is showing all of the wonderful ways that you can succeed. And I also, I was hanging out with the GOCC for a while. I'm into the Black Jews movement. I literally am. I think that there's a lot of credibility to that concept. I know that, there's extremists, and I'm not a big religious person, but I've hung out with some GOCC, and I'm about that Black Jews movement. I think that shit is real. But I'm about seeing new perspectives, and I thought it was a pretty empowering narrative, but I'm not Black, so I don't know. Came in on the perfect part. Okay, you guys, it's about time. Oh, look, I'm almost at the end. Where did I go to learn and graduate? I mean, I literally have a 4th grade education, if that. But the graduation to a higher level of spiritual teachings was I worked really hard. I worked really, really hard, but I did an objective. It sounds so funny, but there's a guy named Russell A. Smith out there where if you want to be, we talked about this in the beginning and how it kind of doesn't work. It works on the mind, but it doesn't work on the being. But I did you exhaust the 4 mental centers and then you go up. And if you understand exactly how the 4 centers work, which took me a couple of years, just because it took me a couple of years doesn't mean it has to take you a couple of years. But you exhaust those 4 mental energy centers and then you go up to the higher intellectual and the higher emotional. That worked for activating my mind, or deactivating my mind is really what happened. But to actually become a different person, there was no shortcuts to that. Developing an authentic love for humanity because I don't see myself as superior, that was harder because I was enlightened. It was harder for me to not be on a fucking condemning superiority complex to the world because I was like, I did this, but you didn't do this. What's that teacher's name? Russell A. Smith. He has a podcast that's really good called The Blueprint of Consciousness. His book is 500 pages, $300. I bought it 2 different times because it wasn't published when I got it. But he's one of the only people out there that says, I have an objective path to enlightenment. You can do it. And you can. It's just, when it's objective, it works for everybody that's not you. If you're on his newsletter list, you'll see that the people that reach it are people that are very similar to him and sometimes even have the same name. I think that there's a lot missing from that system, but I'm so happy that that system is there. There's a lot missing from my systems. People say there's a lot missing from my systems too. So I'm not here to rag on other teachers. I'm just so happy that they're doing it. All right. Yeah. Russell A. Smith. Yeah. You can find him on Spotify. Let me just make sure that I have his thing right. I'm pretty sure it's called Blueprint of Consciousness. He changes the name on it, but it's a really cool podcast. Gurdjieff, Cosmic Secrets, The Blueprint of Consciousness. That's it. You can find him on, if you search Russell A. Smith podcast on Spotify, it's there. All right, you guys. Thank you. So you just found him on Audible too? Okay, sick. I want to thank you all so much for being here. You guys make my dream come true, for real. If it wasn't for you here asking me questions, listening to me yammer on and on, like I'd literally just be like a crazy lady with all of this information. But the fact that you're here and willing to let me get up here and say, I don't know, it makes my dream come true. So thank you so much for creating this with me. This is my favorite thing to do. I ask questions every Thursday on my Instagram. You can submit them there. You can find me at mommyonami.com, and my free book on the Enneagram, we extended it because so many people were asking about it, but it literally closes on October 4th because I'm doing that live call for it, and then we roll into the actual Enneagram workshop. And so I would definitely recommend getting your hands on this. But listen, if you get it via a newsletter, new emails go to junk for real. So they send out immediately, but if you didn't get it, I guarantee you it's in junk mail. Please, I get so many emails from you guys saying, I swear I checked my junk and it's not in there, it's not in there. And then I have to go look at the back end, which takes me a lot of time because my husband doesn't know how to do it. And then I find it and I see that you do have it in your inbox, and then you say, oh, it was there. Please, I can only go and look on your behalf so many times before I start resenting humanity for not looking in their inbox. So like look really, really well in your spam folders before emailing me. But plenty of times people do email me and there was a glitch. It was a glitch with them actually not signing up and thinking they did, not a glitch with the computer not sending it. So definitely reach out to me if you get stuck. I want you to learn. I want you to have it. But check your spam and your junk mail first. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week for Q&A. Bye everybody. Bye. Bye everybody. Let me close this one over here first. Bye.